If you do not have a structurally correct design portfolio, then honestly, engineering recruiters, they're gonna swipe left on you and you're quite frankly gonna be forgotten. Because think about it this way. Imagine scrolling through YouTube, browsing through YouTube, and seeing that there are no thumbnails for any of the videos that you're looking at. You wouldn't have a visual representation to see what these videos are all about, right? So in the same way, when an engineering recruiter is looking through candidates and sees that there are no portfolios to visually show them what the candidate is all about, they're gonna have no interest in this candidate. So first out of the 3 tips, this is how you define the projects that you're gonna include in your design portfolio. You're gonna wanna scope out the prey. And you might be thinking, oh, what the fuck is this guy talking about? It's an analogy, okay? Think of a leopard who goes out hunting. Do you think this leopard just goes and hunts every animal that it sees the second that it sees it? No, it studies the prey before it attacks. So in the case of us looking for internships, we're the jaguar, which are the candidates who are job hunting, and then the companies, they're the prey. So we're gonna study the prey by defining what's the industry of the company and what's the actual position that we're applying for. The actual types of projects that you have in your portfolio must be in alignment with the industry. What going all willy-nilly in the case of applying for internships looks like is, say, for example, applying to the agricultural manufacturing industry and including in your design portfolio some Tesla coil that you made or some electromagnetic projects that you've done. The recruiter for this company, of this agricultural manufacturing industry company, would take one look at your portfolio and he would say like, oh, this guy's not right for the position. He has skills that are more specialized towards other areas of engineering. What would look attractive to these recruiters for this agricultural manufacturing industry would be stuff like metering auger projects, stuff like weld jigs, stuff like air seeder tanks. So whatever your desired industry is to go into or whatever internships you're applying to, make sure that the projects that you're including in your design portfolio is actually in the sort of right genre of the industry. Now for the second piece of advice, the hard skills that you actually use to make these projects must be in alignment to the skills required for the position that you're applying to. So say you're applying to a mechanical design engineer position. You're going to want to showcase the skills of SolidWorks, the skills of Fusion 360, the skills of mechanical design itself. Or if you're applying to a hardware company, or a hardware position, should I say, then you're going to want to showcase the skills of Arduino and breadboarding, these sort of things that are actually required for that position. So yeah, in summary, the types of projects must be in alignment to the industry, and the hard skills required to make these projects must be in alignment with the position. Ideally, we want every single page in this portfolio to be in alignment with that internship. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Okay, yeah, I have no time as an engineering student. I have precious time that I should be using for studying in my classes. And yeah, I heard it before. But that's why I made the course linked down in the description, which includes templates for these portfolios. You save like 3 hours making portfolios. That's how long it took to make my first portfolio. And it takes like 5-10 minutes to make your portfolio with the templates that I linked in the description. Okay, you just add your pages of pictures and you add your text. That's it. Now the second thing you want to focus on is the description of the project itself. And there's 2 ways to do this, which first one is how it was built. You're just gonna coherently explain the steps that you took to make this project, right? So step 1, step 2, and then final project. So for example, in my portfolio, there was the first step, which was making the CAD model, and then the second step, which was making the 3D printed STLs and slicing and all that. And then the last step, which is pretty much the final project of the rotary engine. So just explain in concise detail what you did throughout each step of the project. And then the second one is telling a story, if there is one to tell, that is. So the way to do this is to define what the problem was for this project. And then you're going to define what the solution was to actually solve that problem. And then you're going to show the revision that you made for the project. And then you're going to show, once again, the final product of the project. For example, maybe you defined there was a problem for plastic bags being not reused for grocery shoppers, right? So you came up with a solution of making a product that would ensure that other customers wouldn't forget the plastic bags in their cars. And then you show the revision of yourself making this project, and then you show the final product of this project. That's how you tell a story in an engineering way. And that was a true story, by the way. I made a project like that in my first year of engineering. And then lastly, just make sure that all of your photos are actually in alignment with what you're saying with the text. Now at this point, you're probably asking, how am I going to accumulate all of these projects that are going to be used in my design portfolio? And to answer that, there are 3 ways that you can accumulate projects, which is first group projects, personal projects, and then design club projects. Let's start with group projects. Group projects are at your fingertips, meaning that they're easy access. And the downside of this is that not all of them are going to align to the actual internship that you're applying to. Like for example, if you're applying to Tesla Motors, then you're not going to want to include a code that you made for your freaking, I don't know, heart monitor or something. So just make sure that you choose wisely which group projects from your courses that you take into consideration when making your design portfolio. And then there are personal projects, which honestly is the best way to actually accumulate projects, because you're in absolute control of these projects that you make when you're just making personal projects. Like me, myself, I made stuff like gearboxes, I made stuff like rotary engines, I made stuff like gearbox driven propeller launchers, my little inventions, all of these kinds of things that were in my control, and I could control it in a way that it was in alignment with the applications that I was sending to the internships. It was in alignment with the industry and in alignment with the position, because I showed the skills necessary for that type of role that I was applying to. And lastly, design clubs, which is the best way that you could show a story, because you're showing that there is a problem, showing that there was a solution to that problem, and then you're showing the continuous revision of that problem. And obviously there's going to be a final product eventually, right? So with all of that being said, I genuinely mean it when I say that this is the best thing that you can make for your applications, a project portfolio, okay? And it's going to be a game changer for your applications. Because me and myself, I said that I got mine in a 2-week time period, and I asked my boss at my current internship, what was the number one thing that made me stand out? He said that it was this portfolio, because it showed that I had my own initiative to make my own projects, and I had the passion actually being shown to them that I was willing to learn. And that's exactly what any type of recruiter for any type of engineering position is looking for. Okay, so click the top link in the description for the templates and for more details on how to secure internships. Okay, I really think you should join. I can't wait to see you inside.